Hi everyone and welcome to Chickadee Cottage Creations. My name is Amanda and today we have another Flippin' Frenzy for you. If you're not familiar with these, it's where we send items from our own stash to others in our membership group, and somebody else will send us items from their stash and we then upcycle them. It's a lot of fun because they're a unique challenge. It's items we wouldn't have picked ourselves necessarily, so it's always fun to see what people do with the different items. So these are the items that I received. I got these from Sandra over at Midwest Charm. I'll include a link to her video in here, and there's also going to be a playlist. So the first thing I got were those cork tiles above, and then these are 3 butter pats. Sandra absolutely loves butter pats, so I was actually not surprised to get these. This was a really unique silver dish, quite a bit of tarnish on it, but it had some unique detail on it. And here, these were 2 wooden tags. You can always do a lot with those. And this was a wooden riser. I'm not entirely sure where it was from. But yeah, it's a wooden riser. It has some unique elements to it. And then I also got some sheet music, and I always love using sheet music in my upcycles, so I was excited to get these. All right, so let's get started with project 1. This one I started off with, which one did I start off? The tray. Okay, so this one, initially it had some nice detail. I thought about not doing a lot to it, but then I decided I'm gonna go ahead and paint it white, and I grabbed a Fusion paint just because Fusion has the built-in primer and sealer, tends to go over surfaces like metal pretty well. I hope you can read that. I can't because I'm getting old and my vision's not as great as it was, but it's one of the many white Fusion paints that I have, probably one that came from Sonnet's Maker's Box. But I end up giving this, I think, a total of just 2 coats. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just 2 coats. It has good coverage. The first one does look a little splotchy, but once you go back through the second, it looks really nice. I did the front and the back, and this was after doing a couple coats. You see it's got a little bit of, I bumped it on something and it ended up showing a little bit of the silver through, and I liked that, so I took my sander and I encouraged some of that on the sides there to flake off a bit. It's not a lot, but it's a nice little subtle effect. Alright, so now I'm taking, I think this is from By Any Other Name. I'll put it in the description. I actually don't remember exactly which transfer this is, but it's from the last release. So I picked out a few of the items that I liked in it. And if you've never used their iron-on, the rub-on transfers, they're very easy. You just peel off that backing paper. I put a few relief cuts into this because I'm going over a curved edge, and that allowed me to actually get it on there quite easily, and it came off really nicely. If you don't do the relief cuts, it's very difficult to go around corners. So once I got the first one down there, I rub it just to burnish it in, and then I go ahead and I apply the other 2. Nice thing about these is you can layer them any way you want, and you'll see that I do layer them. That's the very last one. And I think that turned out really sweet. Almost has a bit of a French country feel to it. And I take some of the Fusion Antique glazing medium, and I'm going to, just because it was too stark of a white for me, I'm not super big on just super bright white, so I went ahead and applied that. I also realized that it actually settled into some of those features that were in the silver plate before really nicely, so it actually enhanced those a little bit and kind of brought out some of the detail, which was a nice surprise. I hadn't realized that the paint hadn't settled in there as much as I had thought. And I just wipe it back then, leaving it in the areas like along the edges there and in some of the cracks. And I think that turned out really nice. Could be a nice little trinket dish. You could put your keys in it. You could put jewelry in it. It's got the glaze on top of it, which will act as a sealer. I may add another sealer to it as well, just for some extra stability. but I think this one turned out really nice. So for project 2, this one I took the wooden tags, and I'm taking some of the Varathane wood stain. Again, can't read the color there. I will put it in the comments or in the description. And just going to use a brush to apply these. I could have used a rag, but I thought it was a little easier with a brush here. This is raw wood, so it's soaking it up big time. And I go ahead and I apply a coat to both, and then I come back with a towel and I wipe off any of the excess stain. And off camera, you may not have seen it, but I ended up applying a little bit to the legs of that riser as well. So then I go and I grab, and this might have been by any other name again. Oh no, these were the seed packets. Yeah, I'm really bad with names. I'll put it in the description. This is another one of the IOD. I believe I may have picked this one up from Heather over at Create Your Own Cozy. But you can get, you can go online to the IOD website and look for your stockist, your local stockist. There are quite a few options out there, but there will be ideally some in your immediate area. So I went to go apply this rub-on transfer, and as I was about to apply it, I realized it wasn't sticking at all. And it didn't surprise me once I realized that it didn't stick because I just applied stain. So what I ended up doing off camera was I applied a coat of Big Top to it just to put a layer in between the stain and that rub-on transfer. And then they came off pretty easily. This first one did really well. The second, I did have some areas where it didn't stick. I think maybe I got impatient and didn't wait for the Big Top to dry as much as I should have. Which doesn't surprise me. I'm a little bit of an impatient crafter. But I was okay with it. I actually did not mind that it tore some pieces off. It really lent to that kind of an aged look, which I always really like. So I just embraced it. I grabbed a sander. They were looking a little too neat on the edges, and I just started aggressively sanding the edges. Try to pull back some of that natural wood color, and I was totally okay if it also pulled off some of the rub-on transfer as well. And I did that to both. And that was actually all there was to it for this one. It's a very simple, quick upcycle. And I styled these in the Trinket tray. I attached some beads to it. I think I might go ahead and stain those beads just to match the color of the tags, but I haven't decided yet on that. For project 3, this one's an unusual one. Some of you might like it, some of you might not. So these are the butter pats, and I had these 3 almost like miniature pie tins that I think I picked up from one of the Goodwill grab bags. I don't know if your Goodwill does that, mine does. One of the very few things I get at our Goodwill just because they're so ridiculously overpriced on everything now, but I can still find some pretty unique stuff in their grab bags. So I grabbed this grab bag that had these 3 pie tins, and I'm cutting up some floral foam just to kind of fit in the bottom of those trays. And then I will put the name of this one in the comments. Might be by any other name again. I do love that transfer. It's a really good one. But I find some images that roughly fit into each one of these butter pats, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply the rub-on transfer. There is a slight curve to them, but I don't need to do any relief cut. Well, I guess I did. I lied. I did one relief cut there when it went over that corner, just to kind of help it apply. And they came off really easily on these. And that kind of gives you an idea of what I'm going to be doing there. So I take my hot glue and I'm attaching these little floral foam pieces to the bottom using a generous amount of hot glue. And then as you can see there, what I'm doing is I'm attaching each one of these to the top of that floral foam. So I have the 3 of those. I then go into my stash, pull out a bunch of my moss, my greenery, just some things that I think I might want to use on this. And I'm using my hot glue gun, and don't do what I do. I recommend using finger protectors. I did end up burning myself, and should say that I'll learn from my mistake and wear the finger protectors next time, but I'm a little stubborn in that area. So yeah, definitely protect your fingers with this. That hot glue, I think I had it on the highest setting, which I probably should have turned it down, but that hot glue can get quite hot. So I just went around each and I'm applying some of this, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name of it, the moss to the bottom. And then I pull out just some individual leaves from these. What I like to do with my florals, and I tend to get them in the grab boxes from Michael's or at the end of the season at Hobby Lobby or other places, is I'll get those and then you can take them apart. You can pull pieces off. You can do whatever you want with those. And just so everybody knows, disclaimer, I am not a floral designer. I just do what looks kind of pleasing to me. So I have not necessarily a rhyme or a reason to how I do it. I am pushing these into the foam there underneath after I've applied some glue to them, just to kind of make sure that they do stay. And I tend to do 3s or 5s of items. I like to do odd numbers. I don't like to do even numbers when I do my arranging. And I also pull, this is some baby's breath that I had. I don't remember where I got this set of greenery, but it's actually some of the nicest I've ever used. They look really realistic and they're pretty high quality. But I'm just tucking a few pieces in there. Again, pushing them into the foam. And now I could, with each one of these, I could attach like a ribbon to the back of them or something just to hang each one individually, and that would be, you know, kind of a sweet little display. But I ended up, I had this board in my stash. I got it last summer garage selling, I believe. Might have been a charcuterie board or something, but I didn't want to use that side just because I needed as much surface area for it to adhere to. But I paint it with a green fusion paint. This is, I think it's Bayberry. It's not my favorite green, but it's probably my second favorite green that Fusion has. I didn't have to prime this because, again, Fusion has that built-in primer, and I ended up giving this one, I think, 3 coats, 2.5. There were some areas that I needed to do spot checks on. But you kind of see here what I had in mind. I wish the board had been just a little longer. I would have liked a little more space in between them, but that's okay. I still think it turned out pretty nice. So I'm using E6000 and I'm putting some on the bottom. Man, they're worse than toothpaste tubes getting that stuff out. And then I just line it up with a board. And with the E6000, I actually let this sit for almost 2 days just to make sure it was thoroughly set. And this is the finished piece. You can hang it on a wall, and it's just kind of a pretty little spring decor piece that easily can transition into summer as well. Be interested to know what you think on this one, since it's a little unusual. For project 4, this one is it's not a hat box. This was, I think, a pear box. It's one of those holiday delivery boxes. I think I picked it up at one of the thrift stores that I frequent. So I'm taking another Fusion Green. I'm sorry if you don't like green. I happen to love green, so I tend to use green quite a bit. And I'm just giving it, I think I ended up giving it 2 coats. Now, because this is a cardboard, it's another reason why I used the Fusion. It actually was absorbing into it a little bit, so using the Fusion kind of provided a bit of a protective barrier there. I'm just touching up along the edges there. And so now I pull out the sheet music, and what I didn't check before I did all this is whether it was going to fit the box, and it didn't quite fit, but you know what, that's okay. What I have planned for this, it doesn't actually matter too much if it's not perfectly, well, you'll see what I mean. So I ended up rough tearing the edges. I didn't want anything too pretty looking. And I used both sheets fully for this. I ended up tearing little pieces off until I could cover the entire top of the lid there. And then I'm using the Fusion Decoupage Medium. I really like using this one for thicker papers. I think it just does a really good job. And it's more of a gel than the liquid patina, so I I find it just tends to do well for thicker papers. So you apply a strip underneath, and then once you've got it attached, you apply a coating over the top. And then I'm just going to piece all of these other pieces on there until I have the entire thing covered. It's a pretty quick process. Even though I do have it sped up, I think like 300%, but that's okay. And I just make sure everything has a good coat of the decoupage medium over the top. Once it has fully dried, and I let it sit for a while until it was fully dried, I come in with a razor blade, flip it over, and I'm just cutting along the edge. I was not going to use any sandpaper on this because it was cardboard. I didn't want to really kind of destroy the cardboard, so this worked really well. And then I pulled this one out, and I'm gonna say again that it's from By Any Other Name, but I will make sure that I have the link to it in the comments. And I think it looks gorgeous against the background of the music. So I'm going to apply that. I put something underneath the lid because this is a cardboard container. If I were to just try to push, and you need a bit of pressure to be able to get these rub-on transfers off. If I didn't have anything underneath that, I probably would have bent the lid. So I put something underneath it just so that I could apply as much pressure as I wanted to. And then just like any other rub-in transfer, you start at one corner, you just keep rubbing, lightly lifting. If anything doesn't pull off all at once, you can put it back down and rub a little bit more. I think there were some of the butterflies that you see there on the right. I think I do add those to it as well, but I don't show me adding those. I just really like the contrast of the bright reds and pinks and greens against the black and white or black and cream colored background. And again, you'll want to seal this when you're done. The decoupage itself doesn't need sealing, but the rub-on transfer does. And there you go. And that's how that turned out. I love this one. I think it's a really sweet box. I think it's very French country almost. You'll see the butterflies that I added there. I added that little text above, and I actually kind of wish I hadn't. It conflicted with the notes and just made it look a little chaotic there at the top, but that's okay. So for our final project, this is where I take that riser and I just apply the same white that I applied to the tray at the very beginning of Fusion Paint. And this was raw wood, so it was soaking it up. I think I did 2 coats on this one just because of how much it was soaking it up. And then I pulled out, this was from actually this month's Sonnet's Garden Blooms Makers box. And I love recycled master boards. They have so many options on them, and as you can see here, I'm just kind of checking to see which one might work the best. I really wanted to use the flowers one, but it didn't fit quite right, so I wanted to save that for something that was a little more appropriate, but this one fit almost exactly, so I'm just kind of creasing it there where I want to cut it. And I go around and I cut out that piece, and then I still have the entire piece of masterboard decoupage paper left for other projects. So I, again, take the decoupage medium, which I'm going to just use the Fusion for this one since I already have it out. And I'm lining up the 2 edges, the top and the right, because it's a perfect fit, so that I won't have to do any sanding on those edges. And you just do a starter strip at the top, and then you keep going down. With this one, because it's a thinner paper, you have a more chance of getting wrinkles than you do with, for example, the sheet music. So what I like to do is after I've applied it and I apply the decoupage medium, what I will do is I'll come in with a plastic bag that you can see there, and I'll rub over the top to get any wrinkles out. If you come in with your fingers, you do run the risk of tearing the paper. So here I'm taking some sandpaper, and I'm just in a downward motion sanding off that paper along the edge. And I'm sorry, my cats have decided right now is an amazing time for them to be fighting right outside my office. But I'm just rubbing off the paper around the edges to provide a clean edge. And there you go. I did off camera take some Rub and Buff, the antique gold Rub and Buff I believe it is, and I just put a little bit around the edge, and I wiped a little bit along the edge of the balls on the middle layer there, just to provide some added interest. It was a little too just plain white for me. And I think this one turned out pretty good. So there are going to be quite a few other videos. If you are interested in watching, I'll include the playlist in the comments. You're going to find a lot of creative talent with this group of women. And I do hope that you will go check them all out. Thank you so much for watching today.